Before we begin today's regularly scheduled program, I have a preview from friends of the show, Left at the Valley. Check them out, subscribe. Here they are.
I'm proud to be an atheist.
Hey guys, it's the Left of the Valley 2.0 crew. My name is Kevin, and...
Hey, why are we calling that anyway?
I kind of like the name.
Yeah, we tell a lot of dick jokes.
I mean, that in that sense, I lean left too.
Guys, the people need to know that we're informative.
Tons of useless info.
Hey, my segment is very kind of informative.
What about the other segments?
Better we don't mention those.
Anyway, we also feature great guest interviews.
Celebrities? Famous people?
Yeah, we got a better chance of interviewing Bigfoot.
Well, Kevin is hairy enough. That will do.
Okay, never mind. Just come to listen to LETV Radio, radio for atheists, skeptics, and humanists.
I mean, I like the show. Not perfect, but it's pretty entertaining.
Okay, I had enough. I'm out of here.
Now who's going to be the Sasquatch?
What about Troy?
Hey!
I mean, I could have been the Sasquatch too, but, you know.
Find the Left at the Valley 2.0 crew wherever podcasts are played, whether it's Apple, Spreaker, Stitcher, YouTube, or more.
From In the Beginning to the Musical Apocalypse, this is The Bible Says What. I'm your host, Mike Wiseman. One thing I have found through my many conversations with believers is that their deity, invisible people, or dead relatives always need someone else to deliver their messages for them. Why is that? Because it's all make-believe? Or is there a more pointlessly complicated reason? Let's start the show.
Is there anything in the Bible that you yourself have an issue with? Okay, so it took you reading the Bible to realize that those things were bad for you?
Yeah, actually it did. I didn't
figure this out on your own?
No, Ted Bundy could be redeemed. God doesn't kill children.
What do you think the Passover was? Yahweh sets up a whole system in the Old Testament where you slaughter animals just so he's able to forgive you.
Today's special guest is author, coach, and speaker, Mojo Medium. Welcome to the show, Mojo.
Thank you so much. Glad to be here.
Thanks for coming on. Thanks for taking the time. Now tell us a little bit about what you do.
All right. Well, I have been a professional psychic medium since 2005. And I was always naturally coaching as an extension of readings. And a few years ago, I received divine guidance to expand my services to use more of my gifts in service to others. And that turned into coaching and then destiny coaching, which is kind of my big message. You are worthy, find your destiny, your calling, and figure out, how to enjoy doing that. So you use your gifts and talents that you have that feel good when you do them, and you use them to help other people, and that leads you down the path to your destiny. And so the idea is your destiny is not some kind of quest or religious experience. It's something that you're meant to do, and it's going to be a good thing. Okay. Your destiny is never like to be a martyr or to, I don't know.
That's good. Thank you.
Have your building burned down or something, it's never like that.
Gotcha.
Your destiny is always what you're supposed to do with what you've got.
Interesting. Thank you.
Yeah.
So the destiny part, this is where we're going to go, I guess.
Great.
Who controls that destiny?
So I know where you're going with that right away. So,
I don't know.
So
I don't even know where I'm going.
Well,
oh, that's why you're the psychic. Okay.
That's right. See, I know where you're going. You think you're kidding. My friends used to call me spooky. They just used to call me spooky. So, okay.
Spooky
so
Mulder.
who controls the destiny? That is such a perfect question because it comes from the concept of like preordination and free will. Right.
Oh, yeah, that as well.
Right. And so I really have literally spent hours and probably years of my life trying to figure out, is everything destiny or is everything just chance or whatever? And so I was raised Presbyterian, and the Presbyterian Church teaches preordination. That means everything is planned. And to add to that concept is the fact that I can accurately predict the future. So if I can accurately predict the future, not all the time, and not every day for sure.
Weird how that works.
But if I can, and I do accurately predict the future, then doesn't that mean that future has to be planned somewhere, somehow, by somebody?
What's your percentage rate on the future predictions?
Pretty high, 80, 90, I don't know.
80, 90%.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I just tell my clients what their future is, and then it happens. So
what happens when it's wrong?
I don't know that it's been wrong.
Well,
I
you
mean,
got 80% accuracy. There's got to be some.
There's got to be, right? But I don't, I don't remember. I mean, thousands of readings. It's got to be some that I can figure out. I've never had anybody call me back and say, nothing you said came. Oh, wait a minute. That did happen one time where somebody said nothing you said came true. But then they came back later and said, oh, yeah, it did later. I think that's how that went. So let me get back to your question about.
So you're 100% accurate.
No, I'm sure I'm not. I just that's not of a lot of importance to me. So
I mean,
go ahead.
accuracy. I mean, it's kind of, if I'm getting things right, I know I'm doing it right. If I'm getting things wrong, I know I'm doing it wrong.
Right.
So
sure.
I mean, at that point, the accuracy does matter 100%. At least as far as I'm concerned.
Sure. Okay.
Yeah. But go ahead, back to the destiny thing. Sorry, go ahead. Side note.
So who controls the destiny? So the concept of preordination and the fact that I know that I have accurately predicted the future, that gives me the sense that there is some sort of plan. And what I've come up with through study and meditation and all kinds of, just thinking on it and philosophizing, is that it is a combination. There are events in every person's life that I call destiny points. And those are things that are going to happen no matter what. So some of them are tied to time or an age that you are. For example, here's a good example of one of my predictions. Excuse me.
You're good.
I had a premonition that my husband would die when our older daughter was 7. She was 1 at the time that I had this prediction. I had this premonition.
Well, that sucks.
It came to me in a dream. It was like a vision in a dream. I was visited by an angel and she told me things. And then the next morning I woke up and I was like, oh, I'm going to be a young widow. It's going to be when Maddie is 7. And I didn't know then. I was very young. I didn't know that I was psychic at all. And I didn't tell him. I told one person, my best friend. And because she was my friend and she was used to me making predictions, she's like, okay, whatever, And then sure enough, that's exactly what happened. Maddie was 7 and Tim died. So, that is the kind of thing that I'm talking about as a destiny point, that I had the premonition of it, that it would happen at that time. And it made me feel like I was meant to lose him when I was that age. My children were meant to lose their father at the ages they were. He was meant to die when he did. It not only, that experience not only kind of started to tell me who I was, but it also helped me to form my belief that there is a plan of some sort. It's not all planned. It's not all laid out, but there are destiny points. That's the best that I can come up with.
Yeah.
Now, as far as your
let's tackle that real quick. Sorry. Yeah. I'm going to go side trails.
Yeah, that's fine.
Wow. So you're just, I'm just going to throw this question out there. Don't take offense to it. So your husband had to die in order for you to realize you had these powers.
No. Okay. That's not what I'm saying. No. God, no.
Okay, good. Okay.
No, when we say things happen I say when things happen not for a reason, but for many reasons. So we say that things happen for a reason or many reasons. That was one of the things that came out of that experience for me. That was that I started to realize, oh, I may be gifted. Not that he had to happen in order for me to realize it. I had lots of other predictions and premonitions.
But it helped along the way.
It was some evidence.
One
for
of the
me.
big ones.
Powerful
I mean, obviously
evidence
one of the big ones.
for
Yeah.
me. But I'm not saying that was why he died. I'm not saying that at all. I'm just saying that my belief is that we all, I believe in reincarnation, and I believe that our souls are part of what I call the divine collective. And so the divine collective is all the energies. It's the planet energies and the people energies and the dog energies.
The force. Yeah.
Angel. Yeah. You could call it that. I don't ascribe to the church God, what I call the church God. I don't think there's a man in the sky. You know, have you seen The Invention of Lying?
The who?
The Invention of Lying.
The Invention. Oh no, I have not yet. Actually,
you've got to watch it.
Yeah, no, I want to see
that.
It's
so good.
See that. Yeah.
So I believe that as part of this divine collective, that we go through this cycle of being human, and then we come back around and we debrief and go through orientation, and then we have a time in what I refer to as heaven, because it is a peaceful, joyful place. And these are the people that I talk to a lot on the other side. And then at some point when you
talk to people in heaven
all the time. That's what a medium does. Yeah, I've talked to thousands of dead people.
I don't know, spirits. I don't know. I didn't know where they were. Maybe they could be. I don't know, stuck
so
here. Lots of different places.
There's a difference between ghosts or earthbound spirits and people who have passed over, who have crossed over.
Well, that's a lot. We'll get into that later. Go ahead. Sorry.
We're back into the divine collective. Okay. Yeah. So at some point that our soul is ready to come back around, and we make plans for that. You know, so I got together with my husband, and we got together with our kids and our parents. Those souls all said, well, you know what? I'm hoping to experience XYZ in this next life. Oh, you know what? I could use you for that. Come over here and you could be my dad. How about that? Let's put together the rest of it. And so we kind of make these choices for those destiny points. Okay. And then as we come into this life, then we have those things that happen. Now our choices, and I don't like to use the words free will, because to say that we're given free will implies that there's somebody to give it and somebody who could take it away. And that makes no sense. It makes no sense. Okay. So even though I talk about woo-woo weird stuff, I also say it has to make sense. It has to make sense.
I love it. Okay, let's make it make sense.
I believe in science, first of all, and just because science can't explain everything
but you talk to people in heaven, though.
I talk to people in heaven. I call it heaven. I don't know what it is.
Who controls the destiny? How does that work? Who controls it?
To answer your question, there's not control. There's just you in your spirit form as part of the force, as you called it.
Well, yeah, that's not what I mean.
Getting together with other pieces and saying, I'm going to do this. Nobody controls it.
Yeah, not like that. Like, who controls the destiny, as in who makes the destiny? Who says this is your destiny? Who is the person that puts that in place? Or the being or star, or however it works.
So like what you're saying is, like, if it's not God or Apollo or Zeus or whatever saying, Michael's going to go forth and be
who's creating that destiny? Who's spinning that web? Who's doing it?
You are.
I'm spinning my own web of destiny.
You did it before you came here. Yeah.
So I've lived this exact life.
No.
Okay.
No.
I'm confused on where the destiny comes from. Then where does the destiny come from?
It comes from your spirit as part of the divine collective that we're all connected to. The energy that flows through everything and everyone.
Okay, so I'm connected to this force.
It's not a consciousness. It is an energy.
So the energy creates the ideal destiny.
We create it with our consciousness.
Man, that's confusing.
I know.
We create things with our consciousness.
As when we are not in our bodies, we are out of our bodies as our consciousness.
Now you've lost me again. Okay. I'm sorry. When we're not in our bodies.
So I know that you don't believe this, but we all have something within us that we commonly call a soul. That is a chunk of the divine. It is I call mine Chunky Divine, which is conveniently my stripper name.
Mojo, you just keep throwing. I love this. This is great.
You didn't want to have a serious conversation, did you?
Oh,
no.
Man.
So this is what I believe, and this is as I understand it to be. Each of us has a soul. The soul is connected to the force, as you call it.
Uh-huh.
And when
Connect
the
to the
body
force.
dies, the soul returns to that collective
To
stance.
the force.
From there,
From there.
then, time and space are irrelevant. So from that consciousness, that awareness, that place, that feeling, then you say, I'm going to go and be Michael in my next life. And Michael wants to be a guy who wears a beard and no wig. And Michael is going to have these parents, and Michael is going to live in this place. And Michael's not going to be aware of his biological heritage, and so on and so forth. And Michael's going to have this great voice, right?
Oh,
Because you
thanks.
do have the great pipes, right? So you go forth with those things, go forth. You come back into a life like that.
I've
And
created this life right now.
yes. That is my belief and my understanding. That's the
Did I
best
create
I
the
can
struggles that come along with this life?
probably. Yeah.
Why would I do that to myself?
Now see, there's the question that everybody's asked since the beginning of humanity. Why do we suffer? That the
But why would I
question
do
of
this
why-
to myself? I mean, suffering is
Right,
one thing,
right,
but why would I
Right.
choose
Okay.
to do this to myself? Yeah.
Well, there are two things that I've learned over everything, partly from being told by dead people, and partly from learning about manifestation of the law of attraction. Why would I attract that? Why would I want to have that? So the one thing is that we are actually compelled to come back to incarnation the same way we are compelled to stay alive. It's like an instinct. So that's one part of it. The other part is it's fun and it's interesting. The human experience gives
I
us
would not have chosen this. I'm telling you right now, I would not have chosen this life, this body, these pipes. I would not have chosen this.
well now the pipes. Come on.
I don't know.
Keep the voice. The voice is great. I know, and that is where religion comes from, trying to explain those things. And I recognize that some of the things that I say may just sound like, oh, well, that's the same as saying that God did it, right? I get that.
It's just a different
I'm doing
hole.
the best
You filled,
I can with my
you filled the gap of the understanding, and you filled it with the force and
right.
and
So why would you want to? Honestly, besides the sort of instinct of coming back into incarnation, there is the concept that everything it literally gets kind of boring. And you think, oh well, floating around and doing whatever you want and feeling happy, and there's love, it's all love and it's all peace and joy. Why would you want to come in here where there's war and there's famine and there's stubbed toes and bloody noses? So the reason seems to be that it is a lot more interesting because there's a contrast. There is no contrast on the other side, whatever you want to call it, within the force. There's no contrast. There's only this, like, yeah, it's peaceful and it's love and that's great and it's wonderful, it's beautiful. But from there, looking here at human life, it's like, man, that's so much fun. In fact, I'll tell you what, my stepsister passed away a few years ago.
Can we not have fun on the other side?
People do have fun on the other side, at least what they show me, what they tell me and what they show me. It's usually
Show you
version
and
of,
tell you.
yeah.
So you've seen the other side as well. You've seen heaven.
I get, from when I talk to dead people, I get images in my head of what their heaven is like. And everybody's a little different.
Huh.
And so here, okay. You ever seen the movie or read the book Coma? It's an old one. I don't know how old you are. This was from the 70s.
No, I don't
In
think
fact,
I've
it
heard
may
of
have
that one.
been Michael Crichton. I want to say he wrote it.
Crichton.
Anyway,
I love Crichton.
yeah, I'm not sure, but look that up, Coma. And it's an old
Flatline, not
movie.
timeline, flatline.
Flatliners was interesting, but
Flatliners, that
no,
was a
this
good
is
one too, yeah.
Coma. And in Coma,
Coma.
I'm not going to go into the whole story because that's not what we're here about. But in Coma, there are people in comas who are in a sort of a warehouse, and they're suspended on wires to reduce bed sores, and they're being perfectly cared for in a future, medicine, blah blah blah. It's science fiction, so they're being cared for. But when the families come to visit them, the staff will take that person who's in a coma, put them in a traditional hospital bed in a traditional looking room, so the families don't freak out walking in there and seeing them hanging around like they're in a meat locker. Okay. So when I use that analogy because I don't know if the dead people I talk to are showing me what their heaven really is, or they're just presenting something that we can understand. For all I know, it's probably something that we just can't conceive of. Now, I've been out of my body in transcendental meditation. I've had out of body experiences. It happened to me spontaneously when I was a child. And so I've been out of my body, and there isn't any body, and long time ago, Shirley MacLaine, the actress, she did a whole thing about out on a limb and how she had gone to Peru, and I don't know if she did peyote or mezcal or something, but she had meditated and she was in a hot tub and she went out and she said that she could see a silver thread attached to her belly button that was attached to her body's belly button. Well, I never saw any such a thing. Maybe there's a cord.
Everybody has their own hallucinations when they're on drugs. It's unique for each person. I've talked to people who are on mushrooms and talked to Jesus. So
I've never done those drugs. So I've never seen any of that, but I have been out of my body, and it's there's just no body.
So how do you know this isn't a real experience?
Being out of my body?
Any of these experiences. How do you know they're real experiences? Talking to people in heaven, out of your body, all of these things. How do you know they're real experiences?
Okay, I'll start with the out-of-body experiences. When I was young, it started happening when I was younger, when I was a child, and I didn't really have much control over it. And I didn't tell anybody because I had some vague idea of what it was, but I thought.
Wait, you can do it now? Crazy. You can just get out of your body whenever you want?
No,
no,
I can't. Okay. No, it used to just happen to me spontaneously. I don't know why it doesn't happen to me spontaneously anymore. It's possible because I take antidepressants and now I take medicine for ADHD.
I don't messes up the spirits.
I wouldn't think so. I don't really know. I don't know why.
That doesn't make much sense. Why would that affect
spontaneously?
Well,
I don't know because it's part of but it's part of your brain. If your brain is, I don't know.
I think you're almost getting there.
Okay,
it's part of your brain. It's all your thoughts.
It is part of your brain. Absolutely part of your brain. Okay, so yeah, and I also study and talk about the brain too. So with my clients and so forth. So how I know the out of body thing's real?
Yes.
One time it happened when I was grown. I was in my 20s or 30s. And I went out of my body and I thought, I'm going to go visit my friend, John. I'll just call him John. I'm going to go visit my friend, John. And so then I saw John and I saw him in a specific place. It was a terraced area going down from a hotel that kind of went like this. It was like two halves in curves, and there was a big beach out there.
So you saw him where he was at?
I saw him where he was.
Yeah.
I had never been there. I didn't know where he was. For all I knew, he lived in Houston. I had no idea where he was, what was going on. Not long after that, a few days later, I talked to him, asked him what was going on. He said, "Oh, just got back from Grand Cayman." And I was like, "Oh, cool. Okay." And so I was thinking, could he have been in Cayman when I saw him? So it happened that my next door neighbor at the time had lived in Grand Cayman for quite a while. So I went and asked her, I described this place to her, and she said, "That's the Radisson in Grand Cayman." So that verified that I really did know where he was. Now, it felt like I went there. Maybe I didn't really go there, but I saw him in that place. So I can tell you that much. Now then, as far as talking to dead people goes, I do this for strangers. I get somebody.
I don't know what that means. You do what for strangers? You talk to dead people for strangers?
Yeah, I give readings. I give readings for people. I do readings. I'm a psychic medium, and I've been reading for individuals and groups since 2005. And any readings that I did before that were not professional. They were just playing around because I didn't know I had the real thing. So the first time that I recognized that I was always seeing and hearing dead people was in a reading. And I did a pre-reading meditation like I always do, just a few minutes, just to kind of tune in, call everybody in. And I saw saw in my mind's eye a picture of baseball being played, and the players were wearing blue and white uniforms. So the client came in. I told her that I had seen baseball being played, and, did anybody in her family play baseball, or, what was going on with that? It was blue and white uniforms. And she said, oh, well, my mother passed away recently, and she loved the XYZ team. It was a AAA team where we lived. She loved the XYZ team, and their uniforms were blue and white. I didn't know that. I don't know nothing about baseball. I didn't know what color they were. Didn't know her mother. Didn't know her. Didn't know anything.
What was the point of that, though? Why would they send you that?
Hold on. I'll tell you. That's a hello from your mom. Okay, so that's great.
That's
then
hello. That's how mom says hello, by sending you a vision.
So that you know that it's her. Yes, that's right. The same way that somebody who has died in your life might send you a song on the radio or a cardinal or those kinds of things that people.
Why would they send me those things?
To say hello and let you know that they're all right, that they're around you, that they think
dead.
about you.
They're not all right. They're not here. They're not interacting with me in real life. They're sending me a song through a radio. It's like it's the same thing with Jesus. It's the same thing I get with Jesus. Oh, he's there for you. He's there for you. He just sends you tingles and radios and Bible verses and people to come over and help you out. I don't see it. I just don't see it.
Yeah, I don't think of Jesus like that either.
Well, we'll get into that. We'll get into that. That's a whole other.
Okay. So then this young woman whose mother had sent the image of baseball to me.
Yeah.
Okay, hold on. It gets a lot better.
Okay.
So then the young woman said, oh, when my grandmother died, I was, 14 or whatever. And she said, I remember standing in such and such, and I was really, really sad that she had died, and I was crying. And I just felt like she was with me and comforted me and told me not to be sad and that she was all right. And I was like, that's lovely. That's beautiful. And immediately in my head, I got this image of this woman. And I said, so is this your grandmother? Because she did not look like a grandma. She had like thick curly black hair, big hoop earrings, kind of a peasant blouse, kind of a Gina Lola Brigida kind of a look. You don't know who that is either because you're too young. And she kind of went like this. And I described her to the client. I was like, and she's kind of like this, like she was real proud of being a woman, and she's like, that is my grandma. That is my grandma. And that's when I finally went, so that's who these strangers' faces are in my head my whole life. When I was a kid, I told my mom, I feel like I'm being watched by unseen people, and there's faces of strangers that pop into my head all the time. I can, I get thoughts and messages and all kinds of stuff. And my mother said, you have a great imagination. That's wonderful. And so I didn't feel weird or anything. I just thought all creative people had these kinds of experiences, and they didn't. And I didn't know that until I was well grown. So
and that's where it goes to is why you and not the lady who needed to hear from her mom. Why does her mom have to go through you to get that message? Why can't she just talk to her? It seems like people are doing all the work. That's what it seems like. Just like any other, religion I'm hearing, the people do all the work. The God just gets all the credit. The entities, the deities, the whatever they are. Yeah.
I hadn't thought about that. Yeah, that's a good question. I will tell you though that when you listen to the radio or watch TV, that news isn't just pouring into your head. Somebody's reading it to you.
Okay.
That's what I am. I'm a medium. I'm a telephone. I'm a television. I'm a radio. I happen to be able to tune to the channel for you. I am able to connect.
Can people not read books? Vibrate. I mean, at that they can read books. Why need the television? Why do we need a medium? It seems like a point. Sorry, no offense, but it seems like a pointless thing. I mean, they are capable. They're these beings that are able to communicate with you. Why can't they communicate with the loved ones that they are trying to reach?
There you go. Now that's the question, because I'm the telephone. Their living loved ones are not the telephone.
Why?
I'm the telephone. Why?
Why is that needed? That's my point.
It's one of my gifts, and it's what I was destined to do. To come
Who
here
gave
and
you that
connect
gift?
people with their late loved ones? I chose it.
You chose your own
It
gift. So
wasn't
why can't
given.
people choose to talk to anybody they want when they're in the dead zone?
Because that's not what they chose.
Okay, so they chose to
have
send
other
you
talent.
to talk to somebody else for them.
Nobody sent me.
Okay,
I
okay.
chose. I chose.
You chose,
before
but
my
the
life.
lady's mom, who is dead, chose not to talk to her daughter. She chose to talk to you.
Because
Why?
her daughter doesn't have the ability to hear it.
She didn't choose to have that ability when she was up there choosing things?
That's right.
Okay, why would she choose not to have the ability to talk to dead people? That doesn't seem like a
Because-
logical thing. If I'm going to have these abilities, options, I'm just saying, if I have options, I'm going to be able to want to talk to dead people. I'm going to be able to want to see the afterlife and see all these different things. I'm going to want that.
Well, that's what you say that you're going to want.
Well, I didn't give it to
However-
myself. What a jerk.
However, you know
Past
what?
me is a jerk.
You know what? Dead
This
you
is what
a
he
jerk,
gave
right.
me? Oh,
But here's-
man. Oh.
Here's the thing. Maybe I would prefer to have been tall and blonde and thin and forever young and rich. Maybe that's what
But
I
your
like
past self
now.
didn't want that for you.
That's right.
Why?
When I was dead me, whenever I was
In the dead zone area,
in the
yeah.
soul form, in the dead zone, right?
I like that.
I was like, you know what? I've been tall and thin and blonde. I've been, a muscle man. I've been a king. I've been a pauper. I've been a murderess. I've been a politician. I've been a
And now you want to be a
washerwoman.
medium.
And now I've decided, I think this time I'm going to be a medium.
How do you
I
know
think I
that's
want
what you
that as
chose?
one
How
of
do you
my
know
gifts.
that's what happened?
Because it's here. This is the evidence.
That's
Here
not
I am.
evidence of you choosing your own life. That is not evidence of you choosing your own
You're-
life. That is
you are
evidence
right.
that we
You're
have
absolutely
life.
right.
That is it. Yeah. Yeah. So how do you know?
You're right. I can't prove it.
Yeah.
Except that I know it. And I know that sounds like people say, I know God. I know God's here.
Yeah,
I know
yeah,
Jesus
I hear that
is
all the
here,"
time.
Whatever. Yeah, exactly. And I get that. And I know that it can't be fully explained.
But you said it was understandable.
It
It doesn't make sense to me.
without,
I don't understand.
it may be comprehensible or believable without being explainable. I think I mentioned a minute ago that science is getting closer to proving things that we have not known before.
Well, that's how
which
science
is
works.
science's job.
That's how science works. We
Okay.
learn new things. Exactly.
So right,
Progression.
that's right. So things change. What? Progression. Yeah, progress. Progress. Yay, Einstein. Okay, so you know about the Large Hadron Collider and the God particle, right?
Well, I mean, it's just a name we gave it. It's not really a God particle, but yes. Yeah.
Right,
Yeah,
right.
Yeah.
That is a nickname. That's a nickname for the Higgs
Yeah.
boson, right? And
Mhm.
that is the particle, that tiny, tiny, tiny particulate matter that makes mass possible, right?
I don't know how that
We
all works,
didn't-
but it's
Yes, that-
science. It's
okay,
above
I
my
get it.
head.
I'm
Above
telling
my
you,
pay grade.
okay, I'm telling you that is the science.
Well, you're
The
also
Higgs
telling me you talk
boson
to dead
particle.
people, so I don't know. I have a hard time. I'm sorry.
You can
Mojo, I'm
verify
sorry.
this. You can verify this. Believe me. you can
Yes,
verify
I'll
this.
look
So-
it up. Yeah.
So science didn't know that 20 years ago.
We learned
Scientists
things. Yes.
suspected that. Particle physicists suspected that. They knew that it was likely to be discovered, and they figured out a way to discover it, to find
Okay.
it, which is with the Large Hadron Collider in Sweden.
Yeah.
So that now we know that 200 years ago, 250 years ago, we didn't know why it rained.
We didn't. Yeah, we don't know a lot
500
of things. 100%. Yeah.
500 years
We learned.
ago, we weren't sure about, I don't know, what caused an infection.
Yeah. No, we didn't know things. Now we know
200 years
things. 100%.
Right. That's right. And that's what I'm saying is that the farther that science goes, especially in quantum physics, the more progress is made, the more all of this starts to be explained.
No,
In the same way that-
the dead zone and talking to people in heaven, that is not closer to being explained by science. There's no way. You're telling me we're close to the spiritual world right now by scientific research?
Closer than we ever have been.
No.
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
send me
Didn't you watch
all
The
your
Secret?
information. Oh my God.
Didn't you watch The Secret? Didn't you watch What the Bleep Do We Know? Haven't you researched all of
Mojo.
this stuff?
Mojo.
Yeah, darling.
We are not close to discovering the spirit world.
No, closer than ever before. Progress has been made.
We're in the same spot. There's no spirit world.
No, we're not.
We can't discover it if it's not there.
Okay. Watch The Secret. Watch What the Bleep Do We Know.
Do it.
Look at the quantum physics and what's going on in quantum physics research right now.
Yeah.
And they're talking about
Neil deGrasse Tyson is not telling me we're close to the spirit world.
Is
These
he a
quantum
particle
physics scientists
okay. Yes,
are not telling us that we are close to discovering the spirit world. Show me a paper, a scientific paper that tells me we're close to discovering the
they're learning
secret
more
world.
and more about what makes us tick.
Yes.
From
we're learning more about
inside
ourselves and the universe and everything.
Yes, more about humans and how it all works together. And so I know that this is not something we have specific answers for, but it is going that way. We do, though. We know that everything vibrates, everything has a frequency, and that if you can become the same frequency as the other thing, that you will be together in that frequency.
I can pass through walls,
for example,
if I have the right frequency.
Yeah, we're really far from that. Really far from that.
Oh, come on.
Unless
We're
you're out
close
of your
to the spirit
body.
world, but not that.
Unless you're out of your body. You can go through walls if you're out of your body.
I should have known that was coming. I didn't see that coming. Oh, man. That was a good one.
I've done it.
I will. So thank you for that. That was fun. Let's go back to this Jesus. Very specific. Jesus, God in the Bible. Well, what is the Bible?
Great. It's a book. I tell you what, it's a book that I think carries way too much weight for a lot of people, and I think it is used and abused in manipulative and even evil ways.
Yeah.
However, I also have found some good stuff in it that I like.
Is there stuff in there you can find that's not anywhere else? Is there specific information that only the Bible
No,
contains?
actually, that it's interesting that you would say that, because every culture throughout humanity's existence has had some form of religion,
to try and explain,
some way to explain suffering, to
that's how
explain
we
why
work.
the
We're
sun
trying to
rises
understand
and
the world around
right,
us.
Right.
That's what science came in and stopped all that.
We attribute.
So we don't need that anymore.
Yes, and then they killed the scientists, and then and then the Knights.
Well, now you talk to them though.
And the what did you call it? The Illuminati. That's right. So every culture has always had myths and fables and ways to explain the best that they can. Okay, and I think that the Bible is mostly that. However, I wouldn't necessarily say that. So when I quote the book of Matthew, which I often do because I like it so well, and I want to throw it in people who are allegedly Christian and don't act Christian, I want to throw it in their face and go, look, this is what your Jesus said. You know, why don't you do this? You're not doing it because you're an asshole. But when I quote that, I'm not thinking, oh, Jesus said this, and therefore it is the word of God. I don't see it that way. I see it as being, it was written down by a person, and maybe Jesus said it, maybe Jesus didn't say it. It is some wisdom that I like that comes out of that speaks of love and caring and connection and community, and that makes me feel good. And so that's what I do. The rest of the Bible, you know, I know there's a lot of history in it and stuff, and there's also just a lot of, I mean, it was just written by people, you know, and I don't think that I don't attribute a lot of, I don't attribute the Bible to anything that's divine or like God.
Gotcha.
Unless, except like in the New Testament where there's a lot of love. Now, there are things in the Old Testament that I like, and I find the Garden of Eden, the creation story, is very handy for describing what happens to us as children. You know, so a baby's born innocent, and you know, everything's been taken care of through the umbilical cord and the amniotic fluid,
Huh.
And then they're born and they have the ability to cry so that somebody will come to them. That's the human baby's ability.
Nature. That's how
You know,
nature
yeah,
works.
that's Mother Nature. That's right. So, the baby calf is born, it falls on the ground, and in 5 minutes it's standing up and its mother's licking it clean.
Ready to go.
Human babies don't have that ability. That's right. We can't walk or talk or anything, but we can cry. So baby's born, baby cries, mommy comes and changes the diaper, gives it food, whatever. At some point in our early childhood, a parent has to say no for your safety. So a 2-year-old reaches for the stove.
Always the stove.
You have to slap that little hand. It's always the stove, right?
It's always the stove.
or it runs in the street. I ran between
like
two
that.
parked cars when I was a baby, scared my mother to death.
Yeah. Oh my God.
But mother has to slap that little hand and say no. And that feels like not love. And that's when you get kicked out of the Garden of Eden. And you can go. So it's
the garden's true then.
It's not literally.
Oh, okay.
But it's an allegory.
Well, it's a terrible allegory. The garden's a terrible allegory. I
Why?
mean, the whole story is horrible.
Well, it's
God creates trees, puts them in the middle of the garden, punishes them for
tells
eternity.
you not to have any fun. Yeah.
Not just them, but the entire planet.
Humanity forevermore. Yeah.
All the animals. He curses the animals because of the snake that he let in. Oh, there's so many problems. There's so many issues. I can't stand that story.
I am totally with you on that. What I like about it is the concept that not only, like I said, getting kicked out of the Garden of Eden, and that comes along again as you grow up, and when you get to be about 12, maybe you start to really realize that there are other people and other ideas and other things going on outside of your scope of reference.
Okay,
and then you get out into the real world, get out of high school or get out of college, and you get a job, and you don't get summer vacations anymore, and you don't get Christmas vacations where you go, I have to pay the bills or they'll shut off my electricity. This sucks.
I have to
no
keep
more
working.
Yes, I have to keep working until I die, right? No more gardening. So there's a lot of use with that very big story that everybody knows.
But it's so harsh.
It is harsh. It is harsh. Yeah.
Like, how is that a loving act? How is that a loving act?
Not.
One little thing. Yeah. Okay. Good.
It's
Sorry.
not. Exactly. I agree with that. But also there is the concept of, Edward Scissorhands.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the movie Edward Scissorhands.
Yep.
Edward was left incomplete by his creator.
Because his
He
creator
was created and was not perfected. And so we all can have that feeling of God forsook me, or God didn't make me complete. He didn't give me what I needed. Okay. I didn't get here tall and blonde and skinny and rich.
Well, there's people that are dying of cancer. There's people that don't make it past 5 years old. So, exactly. I mean, what about those people? We're not just talking about stubbing our toes and having bad hair, No.
Hey, I included no hair. Disease and famine. I did. I included
There's a big difference there, though. There's a big difference there.
It is.
Did these people give themselves cancer? Were they like, I'm going to come back and give myself a debilitating disease?
No, I wouldn't. I don't think anybody gives anybody anything, but I do philosophically. Huh. I would never blame the victim. I never blame the victim.
Well,
I don't do that. But philosophically, everything that comes to you comes from you. So if you put something, if you're thinking, I feel bad about XYZ and I need to work on being better about that, or I wish that I had done XYZ, then there will be things in your experience that come into your experience and say, well, here's a message for you about that. Here's an answer for you about that. Now, children who get sick, that's a whole different deal. My particular belief is that the younger a person dies, and this has been borne out in all readings I've done, the younger a person is when they die, the more important their life, the bigger an impact their life has. And that makes sense if you think of it. Has.
How does their life have an impact?
Okay. Think about, do you know who Adam Walsh was?
Sounds familiar.
Okay. Adam Walsh was a little boy who was kidnapped and killed.
Yes. John Walsh's
his father
yeah,
spent the rest of his life.
So it was good that his kid died.
No.
Oh,
No,
well, then
no,
what was
don't
the benefit of that?
Don't put words in my mouth. What I'm saying is that because that happened to Adam,
His dad did the show and caught a bunch of bad guys. Is
A
there a
whole-
better way to do that?
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, not
But
kill
that's
his
how
kid.
But that's how it happened for him.
It didn't have to happen that way.
You
He
don't
could
know
have done the show and caught predators
You don't know
without
that.
his kid dying.
You don't know that.
I do know that because there are people out there catching predators without their kids dying.
And so what inspired
So I
them?
do know that. Yes, we
What
don't need
inspired
that to
them?
happen.
What inspired them?
I don't know, a sense of justice. Okay, so I just went and saw Spider-Man. And
Okay.
the new Spider-Verse one. And in that, spoiler alert, if you haven't seen it, don't watch it, turn off, mute, whatever. Anyways, so these characters have to die in order for them to become Spider-Man. That is his theory. And that's what he's going off. That's his basis of letting these certain people die. Well, Spider-Man, Miles Morales comes in and says, no. And I was sitting there screaming, no, that doesn't sound right. That's horrible. What a horrible way. Of course, there's a better way to do this. And there is a better way to do this. We don't have to have those people do those things. Those kids didn't have to die. Uncle Ben doesn't have to die for you to become Spider-Man. You can still become Spider-Man. There's other ways to do it without a loss or a tragedy in that manner.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, it did work in that scenario, but that does not mean that it cannot be done without the death of somebody.
Right.
So,
Gotcha.
tying all that in together, great Spider-Man.
Yay, Spider-Man.
Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, you're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. Didn't have to. My husband didn't have to die, but he did.
Well, it didn't make you the medium that you are today, you said.
No, it didn't at all.
That's my point, though, is that these things, John Walsh had to die in order for him to have that show, is what your point was.
No, that's not my point.
Or John
at
Walsh's
all.
kid. Okay, so
No, what I'm saying is that the impact of Adam Walsh's life and death was palpable.
That's exactly what I'm saying.
For the rest of the world. If he hadn't died, his father may not have ever done that.
That's just what I said.
And I'm not saying that it had to happen that way. It could have happened a different way.
Right. Is there a better way?
Sure,
Yes.
There's a better way. But
there is
who
a
gets
better
to
way, and it
decide
doesn't
that?
have to happen that way.
Who gets? Are you mad at God for choosing to kill Adam?
I don't
Walsh?
believe in God. I don't believe there's a God out there.
Then who's going to make a better way?
You're telling me that this is destiny, right?
I believe that the younger a person is when they die, the more profound their impact.
Right, but is it destiny?
Is. And I also believe that the more important their work is on the other side. So often I see people who have died young, who are, and not just children, but young, who are what I call angelic souls. Like they're not your basic human soul. They're not the chunky divine like I've got. It's not the basic human soul, or not even basic. There's no hierarchy. There's just different energy. Like there's dog energy and plant energy and people energy. There's also something else. There's divine or angelic energy. I call it angel energy. You can call it whatever you want. Those sometimes will take human form and come and be here. And it's always for something important for humanity. And then when they're on the other side, they're like helping people. It's wild, the things that they like. They'll show up and they're like I've seen one guy that I've talked to him several times. He was a fighter pilot in life, and he was a real hero kind of a guy. And he shows up literally with a sword, and I'm like, whoa, what is this? And he's like, this is like a representation of him being some kind of warrior for justice or something. I know it's crazy. I didn't make this shit up. It just comes to me. And there's other things about him that I say.
How my imagination works. It just comes to me. I'm not making it up. It's just coming to me.
The things that I tell, besides that, the things that I tell his mother about him are accurate, according to her. Okay.
Yeah.
Somebody else I knew was a Navy SEAL, or somebody I have talked to on the other side. He was a Navy SEAL, and sometimes he's like not available. And his dad will say, well, he's like special ops training or something. I don't know. I'm like, okay, what's he doing? So I don't know.
That doesn't make sense either.
I don't know. Well,
not
it
much
may
of
not
this
make
is
sense.
yeah.
May not make sense, but that's what's going on. What they're showing me, and again, it could be like coma.
Right,
They're
but-
just showing me what I can understand.
Yeah.
But what they're showing me is what that looks like. And then the other things about those people are verified by their living loved ones.
Well, yeah, that's, people in trauma, and there's a bunch of things there. So the destiny part of it, though,
Okay.
the angelic being person
The angelic soul, yeah.
is the one controlling their death. Who's controlling the death part of it? They decided to die early because they're going to have a traumatic impact on the world.
Yes. They made that
What
plan.
happens when that fails? What happens when they don't have a traumatic impact on the world and they just die by themselves?
That happens. There are people who die alone.
So, yeah, what's
and
the point?
nothing ever happens. Nobody loved them. I have no idea if that was what they chose.
See, that just doesn't make sense. There's so many things here that just aren't adding up to me.
Okay, but listen to this. It doesn't make sense to you for your life.
You're telling me this doesn't make sense to you either.
No,
We're
what I said was
back and forth here.
I can't explain it and I don't understand it.
Which
But
means
that
you-
is what I get shown. I get shown those things.
I
I'm
don't
a medium.
understand things
I
because they don't make sense. That's where I'm at.
Making sense. Everything that I believe makes sense because you can logic things out and you can intuit things and they should match. That's why I don't go to church anymore, because the things they say don't make sense. But when you say, okay, now listen.
You're
listen,
awesome. You're so much fun,
Michael.
Mojo.
Thank you. You're fun
I
too.
love this.
I'm having a good time.
Yeah.
I don't get to do this very often, and it's fun.
Good.
So okay. So when you say, why would you choose that? Why do I want to do that? It doesn't make sense. There's a better way to do it.
Yeah.
Who's controlling this?
Yeah.
Who's in charge? Who's responsible for this
Who's
bullshit?
in charge of this mess?
Who's responsible for this bullshit? I can't
That
stand
too.
anymore. Yeah, well, we want to blame Washington most of the time. Okay, but here's the thing.
Yeah.
That's how it is for you. And it may be how it is for a lot of people who say, yeah, it doesn't make sense to me either. I don't get it. I want to know who I can write a letter to. I don't get why, why did that person die? Why didn't that person die? I hate that person. Why didn't he fall off
who's
the
in
grid?
control of this entire system?
Who's in
There's
control
where-
of the entire system?
Is there a Godhead that is in control of this entire system?
I don't believe so.
Okay.
No.
So we are the ones that are doing it ourselves to ourselves.
Pretty much.
Okay. I wouldn't do this to myself, and I can't see a child giving themselves cancer.
Right. And that's the part that I'm talking about. It's us before we are in the body. Okay.
But we know what we're giving ourselves. We're giving
do.
ourselves cancer.
Right.
We're giving ourselves ALS.
Right.
That makes no sense why somebody would give themselves that on purpose. Did they not know
Okay.
what these things were?
Okay. Yeah, they did. Okay. Let me
So they know these debilitating disease, and I'm going to give it to myself in my next life. How fun.
let me suggest something to you. Let's see here. Let me come up with the right example. You know how okay, here you go. You know how they say that there's no such thing as an unselfish good deed, that if you do a good deed it makes you feel good, right?
I've never heard that, but okay,
No?
I'll go with that. Yeah, I'll go with it.
Yeah. Oh, you haven't? Okay.
I don't think I've ever heard that one.
Okay, so well, think about that. I mean, if you, let's say you give some money to a charity that you believe in, and you go, I did a good deed. I'm pretty proud of myself.
Tax
That's
write-off.
good. Yeah. Yeah. What? Tax write-off.
Yeah.
Yes. Thank you, Washington. Okay. So that makes you feel good. Now then,
Okay.
let's
Good deed makes
say,
me feel good. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
yeah. So let's say that you get sick, and who is someone who loves you, who's alive?
My wife. Let's just go with my wife.
Okay, great. You have a wife. Okay. So your wife comes to take care of you while you're sick.
Uh-huh.
Okay. You don't have to have ALS or cancer. Let's just give you a cold. We all know men are big babies when they get a cold. Okay,
Oh, yeah,
so
I am.
your
Yeah.
wife comes to
Mhm.
you and says, "Oh, I'm so sorry you're sick," and she brings a cool cloth for your head, and she brings you some hot tea, and she rubs your feet, and
Takes care of me, yes.
yeah, takes care of you. So you feel crappy from the cold. Do you feel good from the love and attention?
Depends on how crappy I feel. I mean, honestly, if I'm real
Does
crappy, no matter how much
does
love and attention you
she
give me, I'm still
does
crappy.
she feel good giving
I
you
don't
love and
know.
attention?
Did
in
she make
spite-
me happier? I mean, I don't know. Like, there's so many different scenarios there. Let's go with
I'm
the
just
scenario that
trying-
whatever I'm doing, it makes her happy, or whatever she's
I'm
doing makes her
just-
happy. Whatever
No,
she's
no,
doing
no.
makes me
I'm
happy. Okay,
trying to
let's go with that.
to show you that here's something that's not good, right? You are sick. Blah, horrible. But because of you being sick, the two of you get to experience this love and care between you. And so
Mhm.
if you never got sick, you might not have any call to do that.
But Mojo, I wouldn't be sick. I'd be happy because I'm not sick. I'd be happy because I'd be able to spend time outside with my wife and my
if you
kids. I'd be
never-
doing things.
If you never knew there was sickness, why would you be delighted not to be sick?
You're joking.
It's the contrast that makes it
I couldn't be
interesting.
happy unless I know what sickness is. It's the same thing as I can't know what love is unless I know what evil is.
No, because the opposite
It's
of
the
love
same
is not
concept.
hate. The opposite of love is not hate or evil. It is apathy. You know that. The opposite of love is apathy. If I hate you and I yell at you, I'm giving you attention, I'm giving you force, I'm giving you energy.
Some people like that.
If I ignore you completely, whatever.
Some
There's
people also
nothing
like
worse. There's nothing worse than that. You're also like that. So I'm just saying that it is the contrast without, and I'm not saying that, without misery, there's no joy. I'm just saying that if you had no concept of being unhappy, how valuable would happiness be?
I still wouldn't choose it. I would choose to be
still-
happy a different way. I would not choose to have myself be sick so I can feel that sort of happiness. I would not. I would not.
Okay.
Just doesn't make any
Then,
sense.
then how would you know? If
How would
there
I-
was no contrast, how would you know?
No
How
contrast.
would
Well,
you
I had lived
experience-
previous lives, right?
Mm-hmm.
I've lived previous lives. I've been sick in the past. I know how much it sucks to be sick. But when I die next time, I'm going to be like, ALS. Let me give myself some ALS. This will be great. I'll feel all kinds of love.
I just gave you one example. There are all kinds of things that come out of a person being sick. It's
None of
not
them can
just-
be not reproduced anywhere else.
No, I don't think so. Honestly, I've never thought about it that way, but I don't think that we would be able to enjoy our joy if we didn't know the other side of it.
So
And it
I'm out in
doesn't
the
mean
woods
that-
hiking with
doesn't
my
mean that-
family.
It doesn't mean that you have to be sick in order to appreciate good health.
I'm
But you
outdoors
have to be
hiking,
aware of
enjoying
sick-
myself, right? I'm enjoying myself. This is a great day. In the back of my head, gee whiz, I'm sure I'm happy today because I'm not in bed sick. Those are not my thoughts. That's not going through
your
my
thoughts
head.
are, I'm happy today because I'm with my family out in the woods and this is such a great day.
Yeah.
Right.
Health and
You're
happiness.
absolutely right.
The health and sickness has nothing to do with that at that point.
Right. But you're
So
not
I know
out,
happiness without the sickness.
but you're not spending time out in the woods with your family every day having a great time. That's not your life. Your life is during the day you go to work and and then you come home and kick your dog through a hedge. Okay, you don't really.
What?
No.
Where'd that even come from?
Some people don't like their job is my point. A lot of people don't like their work.
I thought you
They
said
don't like having
you
to go
said
to-
kick your dog. Is that what you said?
come home and kick your dog through a
Okay,
hedge.
well,
Yes.
yeah, no, I would
It's
not
just
kick
an
my
old
dog, no.
expression. I think I got it from George Carlin. So the point is, though, that not all of your life is, not every day is sunshine and roses. And yeah, you don't have to personally have ALS to appreciate not ALS, but you have to be aware of not joyful day in the woods with the family.
I'm not at that point. I'm not
In
aware
order
of
to
it. I'm just
enjoy.
enjoying it. I'm not
Right,
aware of
right,
it.
right,
I'm
right.
just enjoying it.
No, but it is in your experience of your life.
So was stubbing my toe. I'm not out in the woods thinking, gee, I'm so glad I didn't stub my toe on a rock.
You don't know because it's not, joy isn't in the contrast. Joy is in the joy because of
the
other
moment.
Awareness.
No, because of the moment. My awareness of the moment. I'm happy. I'm outdoors. I'm with people I love. I'm not happy because I'm not sick. Right. Now, the day after I'm done being sick, I am so happy. I'm done with this crap. Look at me. I'm going to go outside. That would be a scenario. But any other scenario, it just doesn't add up for me. But that's okay. All right. God. Let's explain a God before we close this out. This is great. We've been going for a while here. Let's explain God. What is God to me? Or to you?
I can't explain God. I don't believe in God.
You don't believe in a God?
I don't believe in the church God. I believe in
obviously.
A collective energy. I call it the divine collective, for lack of a better term. When I was about 17 or 18 years old, I had an image appear in my head. And the image was, it was like a cloud. Okay. Now, this is not a literal physical cloud, but it is an imaginary cloud. And that cloud is made up of all the energies, all the souls and all the dog energy and the planet energy and the angel energy. All those energies are all in there in a collective in the cloud. And once in a while, or frequently, a piece of the cloud breaks off and goes down to earth and stays connected to the cloud. And so that goes into a body, a human body, that goes into a dog body, that goes into a tree. So I don't know if trees have souls, but anyway, everything vibrates, everything's energy. This is what I was shown, or how I somehow conceived this when I was a teenager. Okay. So there's the cloud, here's the earth. The energies are constantly connected. And when the body dies, the soul goes back to that collective. Okay. Now, like I said, it's not really a cloud. That's just an image to understand it.
Yeah.
It's actually sort of everywhere, which is what God is supposed to be.
The force. Yeah. He's everywhere. It's everywhere. Who created the force? Where did the force come from? Where did this cloud come from?
That's a really good question. And I don't know, except that back to the science thing, who created the earth and where did the earth come from? Did it come from the Big Bang? Has the Big Bang been taken apart? Whatever created the earth also was this energy. It was not created so much as it happened. That's what science says.
The cloud happened.
Yeah, the cloud. The cloud.
The cloud.
The divine. The divine.
The divine
cloud happened. The divine collective happened, just like Earth happened, just like biology and organisms and rocks happened.
Just happened.
Just like the Big Bang, just like the Earth, just like the universe.
It's a scientific thing we can find out the cloud. And you're telling me the hydrogen collider, whatever it's called, is going to show us the cloud, the divine cloud.
I don't think that they will, but maybe they will. I don't know where it's going to come from. But what I'm saying is that exists, that came into being the same way that the physical stuff came into being. Because actually, none of it is any different. We just can't, most of us can't conceive of the energetic frequencies that are not physical.
Yeah, I can't really conceive of much of that, honestly. So, I mean, though, it's like the God thing. God's always been there. God doesn't have a creator. He's always been there. The cloud.
No, I said it came from the Big Bang. I didn't say God made the Big Bang.
Oh, it came from the Big Bang. Sorry, I didn't understand that part. It came from the Big Bang. So when the Big Bang happened, it created a divine cloud.
It became that the same way the Earth became the Earth in the Big Bang. And the same way that evolution began and the little microorganisms started coming together and blah, blah, blah. So the beginning of the universe was the beginning of this cloud, the divine collective as well.
The divine cloud, divine collective. Wow. Wow. That's a thing.
But you see that the big difference is, I mean, when you go to catechism, if you take the catechism, you learn catechism, do you know what that is?
Yeah.
It's all the questions that you learn by rote. What is God? Where is God? What does God do? You know, what was in the beginning, whatever.
Yeah.
All that stuff. And then they talk about, so God is everywhere. God is all powerful, all knowing, right?
God is a cloud, actually.
God's a cloud. And so then they say there's hell and God isn't in hell. Well, wait a minute. You just said God is everywhere.
Well, the
How's
Bible
there
says
a
God's in hell.
place-
They just skipped that verse.
Oh, really?
Yeah, the Bible says God's in hell destroying souls.
I thought the devil was in hell destroying souls.
You thought so, but that's actually a prison for the devil. Yeah,
Yes, that's right. We're watching
And
a
bad
TV
people.
show about that right now. That's right. Yeah. So, it's punishment for him for defying his father. Hello, Zeus, Hercules, whatever. It's all the same myth. A myth is just a religion nobody believes in anymore. So it's all the same story. Every culture has had the half god, half man.
Yeah, demigods. I mean,
Every culture has had the big god. Every culture has had, the things that you pray to and that you have to praise and worship and bullshit. And they are all very strangely very human. But
well, I mean, they started off with totems, animals, and then, plants. I mean, it was always some form of nature. And that's really where it began, is the nature
yes,
worship.
and the pagans were the nature people. But when you got into ancient Greece and ancient Rome, they had people gods.
Well, it changed. They had different ones. Yeah. Matthew 10:18 was that verse. Do not be afraid of those who kill the body but cannot kill the soul. Rather be afraid of the one, capitalized Yahweh, who can destroy both body and soul in hell. So great stuff.
That
Way
is
to
good
go,
stuff.
Yahweh.
And that's in my favorite book, Matthew. So that's
it is. That's right. That's true.
And we are full circle.
We are full circle. We're going to close it out now. That was it. No.
That was beautiful. Yeah. I'm curious to know, Michael, and I'll let you get back to asking the questions.
You're good.
I'm curious to know what you do. And if you were raised religious or not.
Good question.
Like, what do you do for a living? You don't have to give me a lot of details. I'm just
curious. No, I work with animals. I don't know if I've said it before in this show exactly what I do, but I just leave it at that. I work with animals and people, because that's how that works.
Okay, cool.
But I did grow up with Christianity. I grew up in the church. I was a Christian, hardcore Bible believer for most of my life.
Really?
Well,
really?
And then I read it.
What changed your mind?
I
Who
read
got
it.
to you?
George Carlin and the Bible itself actually got to me. That's where
George Carlin. Yeah, see? He's the one who
reading
said,
it really.
kick your dog through a hedge. Yeah.
I still don't remember him saying that.
God says God's so powerful he could throw a boat right over a hedge. Yeah.
Yeah.
Can God make something so heavy that he can't pick it up? That George, he had some ideas.
Oh man, yeah. He had good stuff and there was some questionable stuff, but I did like a lot of his stuff for sure.
Okay, there's something else I got to tell you about.
More cynical. Yeah, go ahead.
Since we mentioned that, and it made me think of my dad. My dad was a comic, and he liked George Carlin until he got kind of mean towards the end.
Yeah.
George Carlin, not my dad. My dad did not get mean towards the end. But my dad was talking about, he had conversations with God himself, like Neil Donald Walsh's Conversations with God. You know about that?
Huh. No.
Okay, another book you need to read, Conversations with God, which I found really helpful for people coming out of church. They're coming out of religion and if they're going, well, if that's not quite right, it doesn't make sense. What is? Conversations with God will kind of help you with that transition. Not you. Anyway, my dad would, he was raised Baptist and he was a ministerial student. He was going to be a preacher, and thank God he didn't. But he was very spiritual, and he was in AA for 43 years before he died. And so he had a higher power, and he called it God. And so one day I was having a conversation with God. I was telling him things and asking him questions. He was answering me. And I thought, now, how do I know that this is really you and not just some deep part of my subconscious? And the answer came back, what difference does it make?
Big difference. Do you want to know what's true or not?
No difference at all. It doesn't make any difference if it's God or Jesus or your subconscious or your
Spider-Man.
higher self or your lower self or Spider-Man.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter as long as you've got something. As long as you can feel what you are.
I don't know what that means. Feel what I am.
Feel what you are.
Well, I don't know what that means.
You're much more than your body.
Oh, so the spirit part of me, my ghost.
Well, your consciousness, your
cloud attachments.
Your cloud tentacle. Yeah. I like that.
Cloud tentacles. There you go.
Umbilical. Yeah.
There it is. The cloud umbilical. I might just name this conversation that one.
The cloud. I like it. and Michael presents the cloud umbilical. Everybody would be like, what the is that?
They're doing that right now. Oh man. All right. This has been fun. We got to close it out here. I got a bunch of crap to do today, but thank you. This has been a blast. I appreciate your patience and your answers and
yeah, this has really been interesting because I wasn't sure if you were going to attack me possibly. And you kind of did, but in a very, very congenial way, you know? And so I wasn't sure what to expect, but by the way, I've got rainbow nails for Pride Month.
Love it.
Yeah, thank you. I do too. This has been really good because I've enjoyed getting to think. You made me think. And I've enjoyed getting to talk about my beliefs and to understand where you're coming from. If I'm trying to teach and share and help people with what I know, then I have to be able to talk to somebody who asks me these questions like you're asking me. And I love that. Thank you.
You're welcome.
It's been a pleasure.
It has been a blast. I appreciate it. I'll keep in touch. I'll let you know when this comes out. Stay safe out there.
Great. Thanks so much.
That's all the show there is for you today. Thanks for listening. As always, you can find me at the Bible Says What YouTube and Facebook pages. You can also find clips of the show on TikTok under BSW the Podcast. If you like what you heard and want to help keep the recording light on, simply go to patreon.com/BSW the Podcast and sign up to be a supporter of the show. Your episodic tithes of $1 or more will get you early access to each episode by at least 3 days, stickers, shirts, and shoutouts. That's patreon.com/BSW the Podcast. For the latest events, BSW swag, including signed copies of The Bible Says What the book, head on over to the show's ever-evolving webpage at thebiblesayswhat.com. And no matter which platform you use to listen to your podcasts, don't forget to hit that subscribe button so you won't miss out on the next episode. Until then, would you kindly pick up your Bibles and read them? Next time on The Bible Says What? Is there anything inside the Bible that you yourself have an issue with?
There are things that challenge me. Yeah. I like you, there are times where I'm like, wow, that it's to my perspective, it seems like a harsh judgment, but at the same time, I'm not a holy, perfect God. So as a child, I have to just trust my father that he knows what he's doing. So, like,
but if the father is abusive, I mean, we're not going to trust him at that point, right?
Well, have you ever spanked your kids?
That's different than what God
how
does.
How is that different?
Does God spank us, and is it a temporary thing, or does he give us an eternal punishment? Or does he give us cancers and hurricanes and stuff like that, which is different from a spanking?
He allows the natural consequences of our choices, and our choices are sinful. None of us is righteous, unless.
So what about the punishment, though? I'm talking about the punishment. Does the punishment fit the crime?
Rejecting God for your entire natural life is then punished by going to hell because you've chosen hell.
No, I've chosen to reject God. I haven't chosen to burn forever. I've chosen to reject God. Why do I have to burn forever now?